Serious Redditors who have slept with your friend's parents. How did that happen? How was it like with the parent/friend afterwards? Did your friend ever find out? Started going out with a best friend's mother when I was younger. Turned into a 2-year relationship. My friend got used to it eventually, along with the rest of his family. My family hated it. My mom made me move out etc. What was the age gap between you two? Ho. Lot of dudes in here ducking their friends' moms. I guess I'll contribute in the name of gender parity or whatever. I had sex with a friend's father. Throw away for obvious reasons. I went to a pretty elite boarding school. I wasn't rich, but they reserve some spots for local students. I think they might get tax breaks for it, or think they're currying favor with the townies. I was bright enough and my parents made decent enough dough that after the scholarship they offered our family could afford to go as a day student. A lot of the students are kind of privileged. They're rich types. They summer in street. Tropez. One kid would get dropped off in a helicopter at the beginning of term. They're very 1% why. I made friends with one girl. She came from old money, but she was a bit shy and awkward and unsure of herself. She didn't make a lot of friends her first year at school, and so we were pretty close. The summer between then and college she was getting really anxious about starting over again in college and about losing the friends she'd finally made in high school, and she begged me to come spend the summer with her in Europe. Her parents, divorced, had properties in Europe. Her dad had a villa in Spain and her mom had some flats and apartments somewhere else. She has grandparents in Switzerland or something. She bounces around there in the summer. I couldn't really afford to go. I was saving for college. But she's a huge daddy's girl and gets whatever she wants, so she eventually got him to buy me a plane ticket. I'd never been and had been surrounded for the past 3 years by students who were all well traveled and figured, hey, it'll be my one opportunity. So I went. Joined up with her in Spain. It was just us for a little while. We had a great time. We drank by their pool. We toured some of the nearby cities. Drank a lot. Partied a lot. Her dad arrived during my last 2 weeks visiting her. Never met her dad before then. I think he was in his early 40s. He looked pretty young. He was sending out the vibes that he was interested, and I was flattered. He had a handsome, distinguished kind of look, and I've always been a sucker for that. I had mad teacher crushes. Now I have mad professor crushes. He was very free with his compliments, and I liked the way he looked at me. It made me feel very powerful and sexy. We were out on a friend of theirs boat for an afternoon. We were drinking and having a great time. I was a very small bathing suit. We were all in the water, having a great time, probably 7 or 8 of us, and having a water fight. He kept trying to dunk me. He'd have his arms around me, and I'd shimmy and shake and squirm, and he was hard as rock. When we got back to their place that afternoon my pal decided to have a nap. She was worn out from all the sun and the wine. I decided to take matters into my own hands. Fortified with some liquor I changed into my fanciest bra and panties and I strolled into his room and asked me if he wanted me. He said yes. He was fantastic in bed and we continued to have sex on/off the next few weeks. He was very sweet. We ended up cancelling my flight home and spent a week with him in Paris instead. I never told my friend. She still thinks I went home right after Spain. I saw him again a few times in college when he came to my university's city. If I was single, he'd take me out to dinner and have sex in luxury hotels. It was all very swanky for somebody who was scraping up enough money for my college's meal plan. Once he flew me out to see him in the city he spends most of the year in. It was a weird arrangement and I think people would be pretty judgmental of it, but ultimately it worked for us. Never told his daughter. She's kind of an oblivious sort, so the likelihood she'd figure it out is slim. Haven't seen him in 8 months because I needed to get serious about my school and he was getting serious with another more age appropriate woman. Oh my god, I read this with my mouth hanging open. I'm slightly jealous but also kinda just jealous lol. The trick is really to be rich, handsome and suave as duck. His parents had just broken up, but for some reason she stayed temporarily while her new BF got an apartment. Saturday night. Bonfire. Drank too much. Stayed up late. 2 AM. Smoking alone and she came out. Nothing weird BC, she is a smoker and a night owl. stood next to me before asking to sit on my lap. I made eye contact with her, and she just started making out with me. Ended up ducking her in my friend's bed while he slept on the couch. I vowed to never speak of it again. Additional info, she was a 7 and the type to wear a Abercrombie shit still at 40 years of age. When I was 18, but still in high school, I had a threesome with a married couple I met online. My first threesome. We had good fun. So I came back over again soon for more of it. After the sexy times had ensued, I glanced up at their living room wall and saw school pictures of a girl I knew, not exactly friends, but acquaintances, and had been in the school system with since middle school. Dawning realization of horror. It did not stop me from hooking up with them more. It did eventually come up in conversation that I knew their daughter. They weren't too thrown off by it. The mother ran into me at our high school graduation and congratulated me. High school was weird times. How do you meet a couple for something like that online? Just happen to live in the same city while playing WoW? Or hit up a Craigslist post specifically for a threesome? They contacted me. And you caught me, haha. It was CL. I wasn't looking for a couple, but the husband was really sweet in his correspondences, and I was open to exploring with ladies, so I went for it. I was high and had been drinking. She pretty much took advantage of me. Fast forward a few months, and I'm drunk on my fiend's sofa. Everyone is in bed and my friend's mum comes into the room and starts trying to kiss me. I'm pretending to be asleep when my friend comes in and goes apeshit. Stuff starts to get thrown around, and I leave pretty quickly and call a taxi. That person still hates me to this day. I figured it was easier for me to be the dick than for things to get even more complicated for my friend and their mum by me being honest. Was just getting on hookup websites and seeing the vast amount of men out there who also like men. Ended up ducking my girlfriend's dad. Never told her. Years later, she's the type that'd find it hysterical. Bonus story. She was a lesbian. I was gay. Both of us used each other as covers without realizing. Bonus story. She was a lesbian. I was gay. Both of us used each other as covers without realizing. I wouldn't be surprised if this is common. Even if you'd say you knew it and you were covering for each other. I assume somehow that it happens more often than you think. We both had big reputations for getting a lot of action. When I started dating, I was a virgin, and she had only a few experiences. Many girlfriends IHD were eager to fool around. She wasn't. My friend's mom was in an open relationship with her husband. They were always the cool parents. They were the parents who let us drink at their house when we were all 16 to 17. They taught us the do's and don'ts of getting drunk. They were basically our partying mentors. Anyway, my friend's mom had always told me how cute she thought I was, and would joke about how she couldn't wait until I turned 18. I would flirt back occasionally, and one night we did some hand stuff while my friend was sitting 3 feet away. She never found that out. Lol. So the day before my senior year in high school, I decided I didn't want to be a virgin anymore. I text her and ask if she wants to hang out. She says sure and picks me up in the family minivan. We drive a little ways away, put the seats down in the back, smoked a bowl, listened to Kid QD, then we ducked. I got the best head I've ever had to this date, and there was no awkwardness afterwards. We even hooked up a couple more times. My friend had always told me, if anything happens between you and my mom, just please don't tell me, which I totally understood. I wouldn't want to hear about any of my friends banging my mom. So 2 years later she finds out, and luckily it hasn't affected our friendship whatsoever. We still joke about it today. UHH. How did she find out? Pasted from the last time I answered this question. Obviously a throwaway. I ducked one of my best friend's mom for about a year. Her husband was cool with it, and a bit jealous she was doing an 18-year-old, and he wasn't. I'm going to be a bit guarded with details, but she ran a business that involved traveling around parts of the country, and I was employed by her because I was out of school and an employee. Her son never put 2 and 2 together. I would travel with her and stay in hotels with her, so it was THR perfect cover. I don't really know how it started, but she and I hit it off. She asked me once if I wanted a blowjob or to be made love to. She's the only woman that has ever successfully sucked me off to completion. It was ducking wonderful. Most awkward moment was definitely when she said that's where Johnny came from, as I stuck it in her box. It's been almost 20 years now. You know that saying about older women really knowing what they are doing? Question mark? Totally ducking true. Me and at least 5 more of my friends that I'm sure of use to bone out our friend's mom on the reg when we were about 16. It seemed really cool at the time, but in hindsight she was a legit predator. She supplied our alcohol and a place to drink it, waited for her son to pass out, then let us basically do all the things every 16 years old wants to do, but never get the chance. It got really creepy. She got angry at our girlfriends and all that stereotypical predatory mom jazz. We collectively decided to stop boning her about a year later. I'm certain my friend, her son, knew, but he refused to acknowledge it whatsoever. We are also no longer friends. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.